Hello and welcome to a rather impromptu episode of the Entitled Wrestling Podcast. There's been some breaking news in the last 24 hours, certainly since we recorded our news episode, which if you haven't watched already, go and check it out. But yeah, breaking news is a significant change and shift in the landscape of professional wrestling. Scott D'Amore, now former president of TNA Wrestling, has been ousted, with Anthony Sassone from TNA's parent company, Anthem Sports and Entertainment, stepping in as a new president. The company's press release highlights a strategic move to deepen TNA's integration with Anthem Entertainment's group, a realm which is already seen by Sassone as the president. Various reports coming out. We've got some stuff from Fightful, some stuff from PW Insider, but a report coming out from PW Insider says that the decision is believed to have originated directly from Anthem's owner, Len Asper, and an official statement that mirrors this sentiment, indicating that Anthem's management will now play a more prominent role in the day-to-day functioning of TNA, spearheaded by Sassone. Yeah, this is huge, man. I mean, especially with the kind of the rebranding of TNA in the last couple of months it is, and many kind of seeing D'Amore as the life and soul, the life's blood of TNA. This is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he'd been with the company for on and off for 21 years since its inception. He was like very prominent in the early days. He was pretty much like the guiding force behind this whole like rebrand into back to TNA. And he was responsible for bringing a lot of like talent as well. Like I think one of the things I know Meltzer put something out about it today, saying that Anthem basically he wanted to kind of competitively spend money to try and elevate TNA to being like the kind of like the third biggest company in the US, which it already is, but
yeah.
Obviously he wants to elevate it to get it closer to AEW than further away from AEW. And Anthem basically were like, yeah, we don't want to do that. Which is fair enough. They have invested a shed load of money in like new talent, and obviously like bringing in guys like Okada or an Osprey for a couple of like one-shot runs. But
and generally clearly, the overall presentation as well. You see that's had a big shift as well.
Yeah, but although that wasn't really much of a difference to what it was when it was Impact. Like when it was sort of like in like 2018 when they were starting to kind of like have that bit of a resurgence. Like they upped the production values. They were just kind of the only thing really that's different is that they were using a couple of bigger venues than they had been using.
Yeah.
And obviously like because of that, like when they did those shows in Vegas in that like auditorium, and it was because of like the design of the building, they obviously were using like they were shooting it in a very different way to how they were shooting in like a little warehouse somewhere. Yeah, I mean they just brought in Nick Nemeth as well. Like that was a big signing.
It's huge.
So obviously they weren't afraid of spending money, but it definitely feels quite abrupt that like we don't know the full details. We don't. There's a lot of kind of like sort of like hearsay and speculation at the moment, regarding multiple things. What one thing which is like obviously kind of like come up is when Don Callis left in 2018, there was allegations that he sexually harassed a former employee. Scott D'Amore was kind of involved in the sort of like overseeing that sort of like investigation. And I'll just quote what Fightful put about regarding that. Bear with me one moment while I get the quote. It said, sorry about this. I'll try and find it on this instead. So basically it said that his time wasn't without controversy. And that where are we? So when when Don Callis was under investigation for sexual harassment, company stated that they'd hired an outside HR specialist to help conduct it. Many involved and around the situation said it was actually investigated by someone who would have had a conflict of interest as they came from within the company. And that obviously kind of like indicates that maybe as far as handling sort of like stuff like that, he wasn't very good at his job. Obviously, in talent management and sort of bringing in talent, mentoring talent, a lot of people have come out and said he was absolutely fantastic, universally liked within the company, by certainly by like the current roster.
Yeah, there's
Um,
been a huge outpour of kind of sentiments and stuff on X or Twitter. Yeah, many of them kind of expressing their gratitude to him. Played a pivotal role in steering the promotion through that rebuilding phase, as you mentioned, sort of culminating in its reversion to TNA. People like TNA champion Moose have expressed, it said they're just lost for words. Knockout champion Jordan Grace held D'Amore as the heart and soul of TNA and deemed him irreplaceable. And then former world champions Josh Alexander, Steve Macklin, former Knockouts champions Trinity, and among others have all paid their tributes to D'Amore. Additionally, also long-time former TNA ring announcer David Penza speculated that without D'Amore, TNA Impact would be a video library probably owned by WWE.
yeah, I mean, the amount of times that company has been like on the brink, whether like obviously we have TMFA, which is like our little sort of laughing at like the shit booking decisions they made, but like Hogan and Bischoff came in and fucking nearly killed that company. Obviously there was a time in 2014, which Big Tasty talks about all the time, where Hernandez was working for them while he was under contract to Lucha Underground, and like they nearly got like litigated into extinction as well. The amount of times that they've kind of had to reinvent and rebuild, and they would just be kind of like smart about like how they're kind of approaching the business, because they are part of like they have a parent company. It's not like WWE where their parent company is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. It's not like AEW where Tony Khan is a multi-billionaire, so he's pretty much got like a blank checkbook to do what he wants. They had to kind of fall under, not that they didn't have money, but they had to fall under like the kind of their parent company's desires and wills, sometimes for better, sometimes for a lot worse. It is interesting. I know another thing that has been kind of like thrown about a lot regarding this is that Anthem, they didn't really like how kind of like Scott D'Amore centric TNA was becoming, in the sense that obviously he's like the president of the company, and he was very kind of like he was very present on screen. It was almost like he was
very
like it was almost like he was like becoming sort of like kind of what like a lot of people kind of sort of criticize like Triple H and Tony Khan for, when they have like almost like a persona as well as like
that
their
behind the scenes
boardroom
kind of suit.
And obviously like they're like Triple H is a bit different because it's very much kind of like one and the same. Tony Khan just shows up and makes announcements and hugs people weirdly, and gets the internet upset about it. That's a whole thing that's going on the internet today for me. He hugged Sting after a match, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's weird. He's hugging Sting."
Hey, I'd hug Sting if I met him. Come on, man.
I'd give Sting a little cuddle if he'd just been battered by the Young Bucks and they were covered in his blood. But back to the topic at hand, like that Anthem wanted somebody who was going to run the company and not be kind of like one of the boys. And they've been kind of they've been like this before with I believe it was a guy called Ed Nordholm who was kind of like running TNA for a long time, who had like a lot of issues because he wouldn't let talent like use their kind of gimmicks that they come up with outside of TNA. So they'd have to do just like Matt Hardy famously had like the
Yeah.
whole thing where he was trying to get the broken character. It was like obviously regarded as one of his best works, and they were kind of very protective over that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's one of those things where we'll obviously not. There's still stuff coming out. One of the big things that come out like the talent meeting, um, was Tommy Dreamer said at the end of the meeting, if anyone wants to negotiate their release, they can they can do so in private with the board.
Wow.
So there might be people leaving. I know Moose was very vocal about leaving. Not that it's a big loss to lose Moose, but it like there's gonna be people they're gonna be more adamant they want to keep hold of. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously Jordan Grace has got a fuck ton of buzz around her because she's
Mm-hmm.
just been in a Rumble.
Yeah.
But it's a weird time to do it though as well. Like
Very, very much
they've
so.
literally last week like just had a ton of eyes on the product because that one of the wrestlers wrestled in WWE, and now people are checking them out. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the death TNA, but it's
No.
definitely going to be interesting to see where they go from here.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Um, yeah, I mean, Demore had been there for as you say, an awfully long time. Just a little bit of background info for those that don't know him, aren't aware of him. Embarked on his journey with TNA back in 2003. Started off as a road agent. He was introduced to Chris Sabin, who was one of his former proteges to the organization. 2004, he transitioned to an on-screen role as the coach of Team Canada. His character rather coached to more frequently intervened on behalf of Team Canada, and kind of earned a lot of can't think of the word, but certainly some choice words from commentator Mike Tenay, such as big fat
Um,
load and Canadian bacon.
well, yeah, have you seen what he used to wear when he was like coached them up?
Yes, I have.
So he'd have like a Canadian baseball shirt on, and he had a Canadian flag, but it wasn't on a flagpole because that's not Canadian enough. It was on a hockey stick. Um, yeah, he was really good in that role. That's how I quite fondly remember him.
Yeah.
Um, he's as I say, it's very weird. I'm surprised they hadn't like opted to keep him on at least as like an on-air talent,
Mm-hmm.
unless
Yeah.
maybe they offered that again. Like with the whole kind of controversy thing, there's a possibility something will come out. I only speculating on my part, but it is a bit weird that obviously he's just gone. Like
Just like that.
he's literally spearheaded that company, like getting back to where it is now and getting like the most buzz it's had since, as I say, probably about 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it's like, no, we don't want you to be the guy to lead us into the future. Um,
Yeah.
usually the, these things come with controversy. Obviously, we don't know that. Pure speculation at this point. There has been a couple of like news outlets who have kind of like alluded to it, but there's not on concrete, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
wouldn't wouldn't be our place to say on that. But
Yeah.
usually there could be things like that happen.
Mm.
Um, so one thing that I will mention about the new president, Anthony Sicilione, is it?
Sicilione or Sicilione, yeah.
Yeah. He will now be managing the day-to-day business operations for TNA Wrestling. He's got 30 years of executive level management experience that he's bringing to the organization. And he's been with Anthem for the last 16 years, managing technical operations, multiple cable and digital channels. Prior to his time with Anthem, he was a producer of sports content, including catapulting the score to success by bringing WWE to the channel. So he has got a background in wrestling. He's
Mm-hmm.
got a background in TV production, which is
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like you look at like companies like WWE. Obviously, they hire people like they hire TV people. They don't
Not
necessarily
wrestling
hire
people.
wrestling
Yeah.
people for that
Yeah.
thing. AW brought in I can't remember, Michael something. he was from WWE, but he was again one of those TV people, and that you could see the changes where
Mm-hmm.
obviously their production values all of a sudden like massively improved.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you can see like why they bring someone like that in, um, as opposed to Scott D'Amore, who was more of kind of like a booker, as
Yeah.
opposed to an actual producer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it one thing that it did kind of state as well in this Fightful article is that when talent were told, um, they weren't told that he'd been that they weren't told that he'd been fired. They were told he'd left,
Oh, okay.
which
Interesting
was
wording.
yeah. And then they were asked to, because it was on a Zoom call, they were basically asked to like just mute all the mics. A couple of talent like did speak up, notably Tommy Dreamer and Gail Kim were kind of like overseeing the sort of talent representation within that call.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another call which featured like the production and staff side of things. To basically the Anthem's goal with TNA is they want to kind of like cross market it with other products under the Anthem umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, again, look at like the likes of WWE where they have like whole matches that are sponsored by Slim Jim, or
Mm-hmm.
the fucking grudge match sponsored by
Mountain Dew,
Captain
pitch
Crunch.
black match, and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, AW do a lot of cool like cross-branded stuff with game companies and
Mm-hmm.
uh, Warner Brothers properties as well. Like they did a Game of Thrones themed show for
Yeah.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Um, they've done obviously plenty of other things which are kind of
Mm-hmm.
tied into that as well. I think Dynamite the other week was sponsored by Suicide Squad,
It
wasn't
was. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it? And like they had all the things. So it does benefit these companies, and obviously it brings in it's a great source of revenue. So I think it weirdly it's the right choice. It just depends what they do as far as like creative now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that I'm worried about more. Like
Yeah.
I think as far as the production side of it and all that, great replacements, like really, really good choice to make as a replacement. As
Mm.
far as the booking side of it, you see it where like obviously there's the big one that kind of happened was WCW had Jim Head, who was like a fucking executive at Pizza Hut and was brought in as like the head of WCW, and he didn't know anything. He had
Didn't
like the
have a
fucking
clue. Yeah.
the dinglings, which was like a fucking, or the ding dongs. It was like a fucking two fellas with fucking bells attached to them, shit like that. And it's like you don't want to see that kind of bollocks.
Mm.
Um, I'd be intrigued to see who they bring in, because there's not many people I can think of off the top of my head who are out of work, who would be very suited to walking into a role like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, there's people within the company still who are part of the creative process. That's something that's like kind of undisputed.
Mm.
Um, but like Scott D'Amore was pretty much the the head of it all. He
Mm.
was the beat, as Jordan Gray said, he was the beating heart of it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it will be interesting to see, as I say, whether there's more people leave, whether there's any kind of more acquisitions to
Mm.
bring in people, or whether they downsize. Whether there's, I mean, I suppose they could do like kind of the AW route of giving the talent license to like sort of create their own stories.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Um, but we will see. Time will tell
Yeah.
on this one.
As far as Scott Demore goes and kind of next moves and stuff like that, I know it's obviously very early days. Like off the top of your head, where do you see someone like that going with the wealth of experience and kind of notoriety that he has?
He's got a lot of friends in a lot of places. Um, Obviously he's got people who've like I've took him around wherever they've been within AEW. Jeff Jarrett is a big proponent of that,
Yeah.
as is Don Callis. Um, I'd I think I mean, fucking hell, if they give him like Ring of Honor, let him do with TNA what with Ring of Honor what he was trying to do with TNA.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Good
that
shout.
that wouldn't be the worst decision in the world to me. I mean,
Yeah.
Tony Khan needs to sleep at some point. Um, although that being said, Jerry Lynn does quite a lot in Ring of Honor
True,
now.
true,
Um,
true.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in WWE either, though.
Mm,
Jeremy Borash and a lot of other guys who've like gone through TNA through the years are
yeah,
within WWE,
yeah.
and obviously he's had talks with Triple H. I I think Triple H definitely at least tries to keep up with the Impact product
Mm,
or
mm.
the TNA product, excuse me. Especially given that they were starting to work with one another.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but honestly, I don't foresee him like starting his own promotion or anything like that.
No.
I'm pretty sure he's got a wrestling school, so he might end up just doing that.
Mm, mm.
Um, but at the same time, like who knows? Like the thing with wrestling is you never say never, do you? You never know
Exactly.
what's gonna happen. You
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
talking about this now, and in 6 months, TNA go, oh, you know what?
We made a
It,
mistake.
we made a mistake. Let's bring back Scott D'Amore.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I mean, he definitely loved like that job. Like you could see it from.
yeah.
I don't know if you saw the speech you made after
When they announced
Osprey
they
and
were rebranding.
Alex
Oh, after Osprey, sorry.
after
Yeah,
Osprey and, and Alexander, where it's
yeah.
like that's one of the best matches I've ever seen. Like I'm so proud they put on that. Like I made that match happen,
Mm, mm.
sort of thing. And I think Josh Alexander tweeted that and the video of them like kind of coming back, and it was basically the same thing. Like I'm so proud of what I've done. I'm so proud that I brought this back to where it is now. And
Mm,
if that's
mm.
the last thing I do in this company, ominously, it was one of them.
Wow.
Um,
That's some foreshadowing.
then yeah, then at least he's like done that. Yeah, it will be very interesting. He's got a lot of friends within the company. If if he wanted to start a promotion feasibly, he could. He
Yeah,
definitely have a lot of talent who might be willing to jump ship and leave their like get out of their contract to go and do that.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, time will tell on this one.
yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. That's it's been a bit of impromptu breaking news. As we said, if anything else happens, if the story will undoubtedly continue to develop, we'll try and jump back on and discuss it some more. But thanks for checking us out. If you don't already, drop us a follow on all of our various social media outlets. We appreciate the support as always, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Like,
Right. So we were done and we did end the episode, but literally as we stopped recording, some more news broke. So here we are.
yeah, so PW Insider put a bit of an update about this. Troy doesn't even know this; he's going in blind. Um, so basically, um, they said that there was a lot of people assuming something salacious happened to lead to the Moore's exit. Obviously, we speculated on that. But we're told by sources close to Anthem that wasn't the case. While no one is clear as to why this decision was made, over the last day, the belief seems to settle on the idea that Len Asper, head of Anthem, and Demore came to a crossroad where they disagreed on how TNA should be operated, and only one person was going to win that button of heads, Asper.
Mm.
Um, the word making the rounds over the last day or so is that at some point in the recent weeks, Demore approached Anthem with an offer to buy TNA outright from Anthem, and was said to be backed by a letter with a major banking institution, but it was rebuffed. We've heard from some on the Anthem side that it has been seen as a legitimate offer that was worthy of consideration, but the decision was made not to accept. If Anthem wanted to do away with TNA, they could have just sold it off to Demore or sought bids from WWE, AEW, etc. There's been no evidence of that. If he was making an
Ouch.
offer to buy, yeah, a bit more. If he was making an offer to buy the asset and walk away with it, that means the more knew the clock was ticking on the job and wanted to try and keep something he felt important to him personally. Like Eric Bischoff once trying to buy WCW, the more made an effort, but it didn't happen. We're told that the more was aware of at least a week to 10 days ago that change was coming. So this wasn't a shock firing out of nowhere. even if it was announced yesterday and shocked everyone. This was something coming over several weeks, as we first gotten word of it a few weeks ago, and we're working to confirm the story. We are told that there were lots of meetings to plan out how things would work post and more, and that Anthem took a look at everything internally they could improve upon by integrating TNA under their entertainment ring. This isn't some knee-jerk reaction that something evil that had happened, but hasn't stopped some from assuming this because of the Vince McMahon being exposed. That's something surely had to happen with them all, even if that's not rooted in reality. So yeah, basically, it sounds like the more knew the writing was on the wall, and that he was only like part of like the sort of transition into this new phase for TNA, and he wasn't part of the bigger picture.
Right.
He attempted to buy the company from
That's mad.
Anthem. Anthem told him to fuck off, and yeah. So yeah, that pretty much broke like as soon as we finished recording. So that's good. Thanks, guys.
That's why we're starting to do these more often.
Yeah, obviously we'll monitor this a little bit more closely as more things come out regarding this. But yeah, a lot of a lot of stuff is going on right now.
Oh man. Right. We'll try again. Thanks for watching. Catch you
Bye.
next time. Bye.